This happened in 2021. I had been living in my house for years, nothing strange ever happened. It was an ordinary place, 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, and a living room where I spent most of my evenings watching TV. But one night, something felt different. I came home late from work. The lights were off, just like I left them. I locked the door, dropped my bag, and headed to the kitchen. That's when I noticed it. A glass on the counter. I stopped. I didn't remember leaving it there. I always washed dishes before going to bed. But the glass was half full of water. Fresh water. I picked it up. Cold. I stared at it, confused. Maybe I forgot. Work had been stressful. Memory slips happen. I put it in the sink and moved on. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the glass. It wasn't a big deal. Just a small thing. But small things can mean something is wrong. The next morning I found something else. The bathroom door was slightly open. I always closed it. I stepped closer. The lights inside were on. I froze. I never leave the bathroom light on. I was certain of it. Slowly, I pushed the door open. Nothing. Just the sink. The mirror. Everything normal. But the towel on the rack was wet. I touched it. Cold. Like someone had used it recently. I backed away. This didn't make sense. I lived alone. No roommates. No visitors. Just me. So why did it feel like someone else had been inside? I tried to ignore it. Maybe I was imagining things. Stress makes people paranoid. That was the explanation. But more small things started happening. Dishes moved. Cabinet doors were open. Lights turned on when I was sure I turned them off. I started checking everything before bed. Doors locked. Lights off. No signs of anything unusual. Still, the feeling remained. Someone was here. Watching. I told myself it was ridiculous. Houses settle. Things shift. There's always a logical explanation. Until I found footprints. On the kitchen floor. Damp footprints. Small ones. Not mine. I stared at them. My breath quickened. They led from the back door to the hallway. I checked the door. Locked. I hadn't opened it. So how were there footprints? I knelt down. The prints were fresh. Like someone had walked inside not long ago. My hand started shaking. I took a photo. I needed proof. Something to show I wasn't going crazy. I called a friend. They told me to calm down. Houses can be weird. Maybe I tracked water inside. That didn't explain it. The prints were too small. Different shape. I wiped them away. Telling myself it was nothing. But deep down I knew. Someone had been here. And they might still be here. That night I couldn't sleep. Every sound made me jump. The refrigerator humming. The floor creaking. Normal house noises. But they felt different. Louder. Closer. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Thinking. I was alone. I had to be. I checked the locks twice. Everything secure. Still, I felt watched. I turned on the bedside lamp. The room looked normal. My clothes on the chair. Books on the shelf. Nothing out of place. Then I noticed something. A small indentation on the pillow. Like someone had rested their head there. I touched it. Warm. My stomach dropped. I pulled my hand back. That couldn't be real. Pillows don't stay warm. Not without someone using them. I stared at it, trying to explain it. Maybe the room was warm. Maybe it was my imagination. I lifted the pillow. Underneath was a small object. A hair clip. Not mine. I don't use hair clips. My breath caught. I held it up. Cheap plastic. Red color. I had never seen it before. I dropped it. Stepped away. My heart pounding. This was impossible. Someone had been in my bed. Sleeping. I felt sick. I checked the entire house. Closets. Under the bed. Behind doors. Nothing. No one. But the hair clip remained. Proof. Someone was inside my house. And I didn't know who. I called the police. They arrived and listened. I showed them the footprints. The hair clip. They examined everything. Took notes. But their expression said enough. They didn't believe me. No signs of forced entry. No security footage. Nothing. They told me to be careful. Keep doors locked. Call again if something happened. I felt helpless. Like I was going crazy. But I knew what I saw. The evidence was there. I tried to move on. Go back to normal. Work. Routine. Ignoring the creeping fear. Until I found something worse. A small note on the kitchen counter. Written in messy handwriting. I can see you. My blood went cold. I stared at it. My hands shaking. No one should have been inside. No one could have written it. I touched the paper. Real. I dropped it. Stepped back. This wasn't happening. I checked the doors. Locked. Windows untouched. So how did the note get there? I sat down. Trying to breathe. Think logically. Maybe someone broke in earlier. Left the note. But why? And why hadn't I seen them? I reviewed the security camera footage. Nothing. No movement. No signs of entry. Just me. Walking around the house. Completely alone. The realization hit me hard. If no one entered. If the cameras showed nothing. Then how did the evidence appear? The glass. The footprints. The hair clip. The note. Someone had been inside. But not in a way I could understand. I started researching. Houses with similar reports. Strange occurrences. People finding objects that weren't theirs. Footprints. Whispers. Movements. Patterns. It wasn't just me. Others experienced it too. Always the same details. Small signs. Never direct proof. I told myself it was coincidence. Stories. Paranoia. But deep down I knew. Something was wrong. I started sleeping with the lights on. Checking rooms before bed. Locking doors repeatedly. It didn't help. I still felt watched. Like someone was waiting. Then one night I heard it. A soft sound. Coming from the hallway. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. I froze. Listened. They stopped. Silence. I convinced myself it was imagination. Houses make noises. Nothing more. I got up and checked. The hallway was empty. But the air felt colder. Different. I walked to the living room. And stopped. The TV was on. I hadn't turned it on. Static filled the screen. No signal. Just noise. I stared at it. My breath shallow. I turned it off. Then I saw something in the reflection. A shape. Standing behind me. I turned around. Nothing. Just the empty room. But I felt it. Someone had been there. Watching. I checked every corner. No one. No signs. I laughed nervously. I was losing it. Too much stress. Too many strange thoughts. That had to be it. I went back to bed, telling myself it was over. But when I woke up, the hair clip was on my nightstand. I froze. I hadn't moved it. I left it on the floor. Now it was here. I picked it up. Cold. Real. My stomach dropped. Someone had been inside again. While I slept, I rushed through the house. Everything locked. No entry. No signs. But the evidence remained. The clip. The note. The footprints. It wasn't possible. I lived alone. No visitors. No roommates. Just me. So who was doing this? I started thinking about security cameras. I installed more. Every room. Every angle. I watched the footage that night. Nothing. Hours of empty recordings. Until the final hour. The camera in my bedroom. It showed me sleeping. Normal. Then something moved. At the edge of the frame. A shadow. Standing near the door. Watching. I zoomed in. My hands shaking. It wasn't clear. Just a shape. But it was there. And I realized something terrifying. I wasn't alone.